Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ring Chasers podcast,
We're here with part 2 of the first round, and today we're going to be talking about the Eastern Conference.
the right coast, as some people call it. My name's Jake, and
I'm
with me
Alex.
is Alex,
Yes.
and we're just gonna hop right into it. You know the drill. You listened to last episode, first round recap. Last episode was the West. Today we're doing the East, and let's just get rolling.
All right, so I'm going to kick it off here with the Heat and the Hawks. So right at the gate, game 1, the Heat took over, winning 115-91 in Miami. It wasn't who you'd think, though. It was Duncan Robinson, who had 27.
Damn. Okay, Duncan.
He's had a tough year this year, but it's great that these guys can come up big for the Heat. That's what they'll need if they want to make a deep run.
Yes, for sure.
Although they did get 21 for Jimmy G Buckets.
Mhm.
I mean, you need him to play good along with the supporting cast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
100%.
You need to have your superstar.
But
25 a game.
here's where gets a little interesting. Trae Young, 8 points, 1 for 12 from the field.
That's abysmal. That especially for a guy averaging 28 a game during the regular season.
Ice Trae went ice cold.
Ice went ice cold, man.
And the only other player that has anything notable on the Hawks that game was Gallinari, who had 17 points. Wow. Yeah, so Miami shot 15% better from the field that game and won the rebound battle. So it kind of makes sense they led the whole game.
It was just all Miami.
Yeah, it was all Miami. And then it's pretty much the same thing going on to game 2 with another 10-point win, 115-105, putting the Heat up 2-0. But this time, Jimmy with 45. He knows how to get buckets.
He was shooting that thing, man.
And no way this bro just said thang. All right. Tyler Hero had 15. Solid game, but when Jimmy gets 45 and he is shooting that thing, as he would say, you don't need anyone to do anything more.
Hey, it's gonna catch on.
Trae Young had 25 on 50%, but he had 10. Yeah, that's right. 10 turnovers.
10.
10.
10?
10.
That's
10.
a lot of turnovers, man.
Yeah.
Like
a lot.
ugh.
Some games you see a whole team have 10 turnovers.
Yeah. Trae Young just didn't have it this season. Or not this season, this series.
Yeah. Bogdan, he had a really good 29 for them, which is the only reason the game was within 10, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think probably would have been a lot more without him. Atlanta did win the rebound battle this game, but Miami shot better from literally everywhere and led the entire game.
Yep. Just all Miami once again.
In game 3, everyone knew Trae Young wasn't letting them go out without at least a win. He wasn't letting them get swept. They won 111-110 in Atlanta to make the series 2-1, make it a little closer.
Give him a chance.
Trae Young had 24 and 8. Solid game for him. Not what you need from him. You probably need him to get to average 30 in a playoff series or close to.
Especially when you're when you're a superstar and you're averaging 25 plus a game during the regular season. You gotta be able to
28 again.
He averaged 28 a game. Like you gotta add a few more points to your average in the playoffs.
Of course, or
Especially
at
since
least
there's
stay the
less
same.
Yeah, at least you can't go down. That's when you know you're not playing well.
Yeah. I mean, in that game, Trae only had 24, but the rest of the team, they all played well. Like, DeAndre Hunter had 17, Bogdan had 18. And for Miami, Jimmy only had 20 points, but he had 10 boards and 8 assists, making a pretty good all-around game. Strus came up big with 20, and Harrow had 24. The game was pretty much back and forth the whole game. Probably pretty evident from the score, being a 1-point game. The Heat won the rebound battle, but Atlanta shot quite a bit better that game, resulting in the win.
Was this the game winner game, or was that a different game?
Was there a game winner this series?
Yeah, didn't Trae Young have the floater?
Oh, yeah, that was the floater, but it wasn't at the buzzer. It was like 40, 50 seconds left.
Oh, okay. He just hit the dagger floater.
Yeah, the dagger.
Yeah.
It put them up probably I think 4 or 5, but then Miami scored a couple points and got a little close.
That's what it was.
And this one wasn't so close. 110-86 for Miami, putting them 3-1.
Hey man,
36 and 10 for Jimmy. This man can hoop.
this guy's a hooper.
He is a hooper. And Bam and PJ both had 14, which having both of the guys contribute, like
Especially PJ Tucker.
Bam was a little underwhelming in the series. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
PJ Tucker being able to put 14 with the energy he brings. I know he's not the same player he was.
I mean, PJ Tucker, he's not there for scoring. He's there for veteran knowledge
And
little defensive energy,
yeah,
kind of an anchor. I
And
mean, you get him
getting inside the heads of
14.
the other team.
Yeah.
The team's best player.
Yeah.
Here's another bad game for Trae Young. 3 of 11 for the field, having 9 points.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
Then DeAndre Hunter came up pretty big again with 24.
He played pretty good this series.
Him and
He had a good
Bogdan.
series.
Him and Bogdan had a pretty good series.
Yeah.
And also, this game was Capella's first game back. He hyperextended his knee in the play-in game, and this was his first game back, but he didn't get anything done this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of when you got a big guy with a knee issue, you don't want to
anything like legs or ankles. That's tough.
like. I know they wanted to try to make a run at the series and it's 2-1, but I mean, you don't. He wasn't gonna make an impact this game. Like he was gonna take it cautious, and it wasn't really. There wasn't really a big point of him coming back for this series.
Heat won, rebound battle, and they also had 9 less turnovers that year. And yeah, they just dominated the game from the get-go. Atlanta never really had a chance. And on to the series ender, 97-94, getting a 4-1 lead for Miami, winning the series. And no Jimmy. He sat out with knee soreness. Kyle Lowry had a hamstring injury, and he missed the start of the next round. But Victor Oladipo, he started, and he had 23, playing really well. Bam had 20 and 11. Harrell brought 16 off the bench. Another bad game for Trae Young. Seems like a common theme in the series. Had 11 points and 2 for 12.
Yeah,
At least he was getting his free throws in.
he's getting his free throws in.
Getting some practice. I don't know. But, 35 and 11 rebounds for Hunter. Like, this guy, he's young. He has potential. Like, you see every now and then he'll have a really good game or a couple good games in a row. He just needs to work on getting consistent because he's a really good 3-and-D player.
Yeah, I mean, he was solid for the Hawks for pretty much most of the series.
Most of the season, even.
Yeah. But
he exceeded more in the play.
For sure.
Yeah. Atlanta won the rebound battle, and the team shot similar, but Atlanta had 5 more turnovers, and it was close up to the end, but those turnovers were probably what separated the two teams.
It's kind of the moral of the story for the Hawks this series. Just a ton of turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't really shoot the ball great. Of course, Trae Young was kind of glaring issue, but I mean, the Heat just showed why they were the number 1 seed.
Yeah, my final takes to this is Miami was just the better team.
Straight and simple.
People were expecting Atlanta to do a little better based on their performance last year in the playoffs, but it was last year. This year's a different year. They're going up against the 1 seed. It's kind of what you expect for a 1 versus 8.
I mean, for sure. Like,
it's a shame Atlanta couldn't get a little bit of a better seed.
The Heat aren't the Knicks from last year.
No. The Knicks did have a great year last year, but they're not the Heat.
They're not the Heat. It's a different animal.
I feel Atlanta would have been a couple seeds higher, but if they started the year the same way they finished it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But they were horrible at the start of the year.
They were.
They started getting going a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was a little too late. I guess they did make the playoffs, which was good, but didn't really get anything done. Trae Young was pretty bad throughout the whole series.
I mean, the thing, like as I said a few times, like the thing with Trae Young, and I was watching some NBA on TNT when the series ended, and something that Shaq said kind of stood out to me. It was bad shots look good until they stop going in.
Yeah,
and that was kind of the thing with Trae Young.
That's one thing.
He would live by the jump shot, die by the jump shot.
Oh, literally. You see that a lot with players like Trae Young, Steph Curry, even when he has an off night. You see him taking those circus shots. When they go in, it's must-see basketball. It's like the most fun basketball you'll watch. But when he's missing, it's like, okay, calm down, stop shooting the ball.
It's like that was just a bad shot.
But then you realize you're saying stop shooting to Steph Curry, but it's not Steph Curry, it's Trae Young.
It's Trae Young, which is, I mean, he's a younger Steph Curry. Yeah, but maybe not the same ceiling. as Steph, but kind of similar shooting style,
Yeah.
similar play style.
Throughout the whole series, Bam, he was solid, mediocre, but he didn't really have to be anything more than that for them to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just needs to step up against Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Oladipo, he did not play much because, from what I've heard, him and Jimmy Butler don't have the greatest of relationships, which is something they need to get.
Really?
They need to fix that or
Yeah.
get something working where they could at least not hate each other if they want to win.
I didn't know about that.
And he stepped up in Game 5 when Butler wasn't playing and played really well.
I mean, Oladipo has been like a solid role player for most of his career.
Well,
And like,
he had those 2 or 3 years in Indiana where he became a star.
yeah, I mean, like,
But then he had that knee injury and he settled back down to a role player.
For the Heat to make a deep run in this playoffs, you got to have guys like Oladipo, Duncan Robinson. You got to have them step up off the bench,
Yeah, for sure.
especially when you're going up against a team like the 76ers.
Yeah. Speaking of guys stepping up, DeAndre Hunter did everything he could for Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
stepping up as one of those role guys, but stars didn't play well, so
He didn't play well.
can't really fault him there. But
Yeah. Well, you want to hear me talk about the next round or the next series?
yeah, let's hear it.
All right, we got the number 4 seed 76ers versus the number 5 seed Toronto
Well, this is a good one.
Raptors. This was a fun series. I mean, game 1, 76ers win. It was just a blowout, 131 to 111. My Raps, they didn't play great. A lot of fouls. I mean, the 76ers shot 34 free throws compared to the Raptors 23. I mean, they didn't shoot great. Trent Jr. had a rough game, 2 of 11 from the floor. Fred and Boucher both fouled out. But, I mean, for the 76ers, Maxey had a night.
He's a bucket getter.
38 points on 66%
Buckets.
shooting. And, I mean, Embiid struggled from the floor, but it don't matter because you got a guy like Maxey like that. I mean, Embiid shot 11 free throws. He grabbed a lot of boards. That's what he's going to do. But, I mean, you missed the scoring from him that night, but it did not make a difference.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy like Tobias Harris stepping up with 26. And then Harden, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be the new Harden or what, but he didn't shoot the ball well, had 14 assists.
It's been looking like that the last
And
2 years.
It's been looking like that, man.
Ever since he left Houston, it's been a little bit of a different James Harden. Last year in the first round against Boston for Brooklyn, he had a solid series, or a solid couple games, but against Milwaukee, he was a negative out there.
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't really looked the same, man.
I think what he needs to settle into is stop shooting as much, but he could be a solid point guard, maybe putting up a solid 15-10.
Yeah, I mean, he's been he's a good passer. So just use that skill to dish Embiid, dish Tobias Harris, dish Maxey, and get them more shots.
They got enough bucket getters on this team that if Harden just play makes, they could shoot. And if those guys are having off nights, then hey, Harden, he could put some points up if he needs to, but he doesn't always.
Yeah, but I mean, a big one for the Raptors this game. Embiid stepped on Scottie Barnes' ankle in the fourth quarter. He had to leave the game. He ended up missing, I think, games 2 and 3. But that's rough. And then Thad Young for the Raptors also left with a sprayed thumb. And I mean, the Raptors were just kind of were outplayed this game. They had more turnovers, less fast break points. I mean, Maxey, we mentioned his 38 points. He had 21 of them in the third quarter. And, the Raptors just kind of didn't match the intensity.
Yeah.
They were just the 76ers stepped on their throat, and the Raptors had no fight back.
Yeah.
And then moving on to game 2, another bad loss from my Raps,
Yeah.
112 to 97. I mean, you kind of got to question the Raptors' size. They're basically a bunch of 6'7" guys.
6'7" to 6'9" guys.
Yeah, I mean, you got a guy like Embiid. He's just dominating, and then they got out-rebounded 34 to 22. Like I said, Scottie Barnes did not play. Thad Young ended up playing with the sprained thumb. But once again, the 76ers just more physical. They shot 30 free throws compared to the Raptors 12.
Wow.
That's just more physicality.
That's significant.
That's significant, man.
That's
I mean, Fred and Pascal, they both had 20 points for the Raps, but they shot 30 and 35% respectively from the field. OG played well this series.
Yeah.
He stepped up, 26 on 70%. Achua didn't really do anything. And then just kind of lots of fouls for the Raptors, a lot of fouls, avoidable fouls, and just kind of gave the 76ers a lot of free points at the line.
I'm assuming a lot of those foul calls are in favor of Joel Embiid and James Harden.
Oh yes, for sure.
So those two guys, like, take away some of those free throws, that's a lot of points because, like, Embiid shot 14 free throws.
That's a lot for him, and like he was just dominant again in the paint.
And you just know Harden. He's just shooting free throws all game.
Yeah, I mean Harden not very aggressive in this game, but Maxey and Harris both had another solid game. There was kind of a bit of a scuffle. Embiid got shoved by OG at the start of the first quarter, caused a bit of a scuffle. I mean, both players had to be separated and got texts, kind of maybe a little bit of a payback for, hey, you mess up my guy, I mess up you kind of thing. But nothing really happened with it. This was interesting for the Raptors. Gary Trent left the game at halftime with a non-COVID illness. He didn't come back, which was a big loss for the Raptors spacing that game. And, you know, they had 12 more points of paint than the 76ers. But, I mean, 76ers were just a faster team, 22-10 on fast break points. I mean, you can't win like that. They just kind of outplayed that game. Moving on, game number 3. This was a fun game to watch. I ended up watching this game. 76ers 104-101 in overtime. Put Philly up 3-0. Embiid hit that buzzer beater 3-pointer. I mean, for the win, it was a great shot. I mean, I got a little bit to talk about it, but before that, the Raptors, they just kind of got out rebounded again. That's kind of the moral of the story for this series.
Yeah.
The 76ers had 12 more turnovers than the Raptors, which is a lot. And the Raps, they blew a 10-point lead in the second half, which is tough when you're playing a team with a guy like Embiid and Harden and Maxey, guys that can all just get going and just run with it. And then, a lot less fouls for the Raptors this game, which I thought was the difference, kind of why it was a lot closer. I mean, Embiid carried the way. He had 33 and 11, 18 of those in the third quarter. Maxey had a solid game, and then Harden played a little better, but he did end up fouling out at the end of the fourth quarter. Another kind of questionable call. The refs weren't great this series. A lot of fouls that kind of could have gone either way. But for the Raptors, Siakam and Fred both struggled. Each of them had 12 points. Siakam shot 6 of 16, and Fred shot 3 of 13. That's tough for the Raptors.
Yeah, for sure.
OG played well, and Trent played well as well and he came back from that illness. He felt much better after the break. But yeah, I mean, the Embiid buzzer beater, kind of bad defense for the Raptors. Yeah. I feel like
you kind of expect the ball's going to either Embiid or Harden.
And Harden was fouled out, so Harden's not on the floor.
Harden's not on the floor, and the way he's been playing in the series, it wouldn't go to him anyways.
Yeah, I mean, and like you kind of see he's just kind of left wide open, and Fred kind of half-heartedly puts a hand up.
Like
but
you could live with Tobias Harris hitting the game winner, but you don't want to leave Joel Embiid that open.
No,
like, they had contests, but the contest was a 6-foot Fred VanVleet. You
need to have a guy like Siakam.
Siakam, yeah. Pascal needs to be on him, getting in his face, getting the contest there.
Can't let him get a shot off there. But, I mean, this was funny. Danny Green raged after a bad call on a ref, and he ended up getting a tech. But, I mean, it's kind of been just bad calls all series. That's kind of how it's been.
Yeah.
Both teams have had to live with it. But, yeah, it kind of caps off Game 3. Game number 4, Raptors are not done yet. 110-102. They win, making the series 3-1. My man Scotty Barnes returned.
Let's go.
Missed games 2 and 3. He didn't.
It was amazing.
He wasn't amazing, but I mean, it was just kind of good to have him on the floor for his defense.
Yeah. He was pretty one-legged out there, but
he was one-legged out there. And then big thing for the Raptors, they shot 10 more free throws than the 76ers, which kind of balanced it a bit. And then Harden scored 22 points, but he shot 30%, which is hard, kind of how you've seen Harden nowadays. Tobias had a great game, 15 and 11, solid. Embiid had 21 points, which is I'd say a bad game for Embiid, especially on a team that needs him to score.
Yeah.
For the Raptors, Siakam have a night 34 playoff career high. It's a great game for him. Trent had another good game, 24 points, shot 40%. And, Scotty Barnes, just kind of give him that defensive energy contribution. Yeah. I mean, he didn't do much offensively.
Yeah.
But just to have him out there kind of revitalized
He's a really good defensive player, and he's usually good offensively. When you have your other guys connecting, you could live with him just playing good defense.
For sure. And then, Embiid, he was playing with a thumb injury, ended up being a torn ligament, but he's just been fighting through that because, I mean,
Yeah, he's getting his surgery.
the 76ers need him to play.
Oh, if he doesn't play, they're done.
Yeah, for sure. And then, the 76ers just made way too many mistakes tonight. 16 turnovers. You can't do that in a playoff game, especially in a put-away game. Up 3-0, they just kind of let off the gas a little bit. And then kind of a little topper, Fred left the game in the second quarter with a strained left hip, which is not good for my Raps. Moving on, game number 5. Big win for the Raptors in Philly. 103-88. Fred, and without Fred VanVleet, which is big for them. The Raps, they just shot better from the field and limited the turnovers. 7 less turnovers than the 76ers. Their only lead for Philly was 2-0 at the start of the game, and then after that, the Raptors never lost the lead. So they just kind of outplayed them. And then the Raps, they outscored Philly by 20 in points in the paint. I mean, when you got a guy like Embiid on your team, that's not a good recipe.
It's not good.
Siakam, coming off his 34-point night, had 23, 10, and 7. Scotty Barnes looked a little better, shot 5 for 10. And then OG had 16. Trent had 16, and Achua also had 17 points. So it was good to see Achua kind of get going. Embiid kind of with the torn ligament in his thumb again, only had 20 points. Harden kind of struggled from the field again. And then Danny Green kind of haven't heard his name much. 14 points, 5 of 10 shooting. Decent game for him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I watched this game, and Embiid just had no energy defensively.
Yeah.
Like, he just looked kind of out of it. Like, he looked tired, and they just had no answer for the Raptors. The Raptors were just tougher and physical all game.
With the ligament tear, I don't know how long he's going to last in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you see kind of struggling already with it. He hasn't been scoring a lot, and, the Raptors are just kind of more physical and just kind of went after Embiid.
Yeah.
All game there. And then game 6, unfortunately for my Raps.
End of the dream.
End of the dreams there. So much for Raps in 7, man. 132-97, the 76ers win. Absolute blowout, man. I mean, kind of sad for the Raps, but, I mean, you can't expect a team with Joel Embiid to blow a 3-0 lead. You
can't expect any team to blow a 3-0 lead.
You can't. I mean, with Doc Rivers at the helm, you never know. The Raps battle in the first half, and we're only down by 1. Yeah. But then in the second half, the 76ers just exploded in the third quarter. I mean, 17-0 run, and outscored the Raptors 37-17 in the third quarter. That is kind of the big difference in there. The Raptors' biggest lead was 5 points in the first quarter, and the 76ers led by as many as 35 points that night. I mean, just a bad night for the Raptors. They shot 20% from 3, 39% from the field, compared to Philly, 40% from 3 and 58% from the field. I mean, it was just kind of dominated. I mean, they won the rebound battle and had more points than paint. And Embiid kind of silenced the boos that he was getting in Toronto. Went off 33 and 10 on 12 of 18 shooting. Maxey had kind of a bounce back game. He hadn't really been playing great since game 2. But, I mean, 25 points, 8 assists. Harden looked a little better. He had 22 and 15 on over 50% shooting, and he only had 3 turnovers. So that's big for Harden to kind of have a little bit of bounce back, give him some momentum moving into the second round. For the Raptors, Siakam, decent game, 24-7, kind of what he's averaging. But he fouled out late in the fourth quarter. And, Scotty had 18 points, so a good game for him. And then Boucher, haven't heard his name, 25 and 10 off the bench for the Raps. But, I mean, missing Fred, that hurts them, especially kind of offensively and defensively. He was kind of locking. He was playing good defense, and I mean he wasn't shooting well from the floor, but you had to see that he was bound to go off for a game.
Yeah.
So missing him for 2 games was tough. And the 76ers, I was reading about the game, and they were all saying how they did not want to go to a game 7.
Yeah.
And they did not want to come back to Philly, so they just stepped on the Raptors' neck, and they had no answer. And then kind of a big one for the second round, Embiid suffered a concussion while playing in the fourth quarter when the 76ers were up by
Didn't he also
29.
get a fracture in his face as well?
Yeah, he had an orbital fracture in his face. We found out later.
Caught an elbow from Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, but like,
It wasn't intentional.
no, not about that. But why is Embiid
Yeah.
playing when you're up 29 in the fourth quarter? Why do
Yeah,
you
I
have your
know.
superstar playing in the fourth quarter?
It reminds me of Derrick Rose
back
when,
back in the day.
back in the day, MVP D Rose, youngest MVP ever.
Mm-hmm.
They were up like 20 with like 3 minutes left, and Thibodeau kept him in the game. Derrick Rose tears the ACL. The rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough for him in the second round. We already know he's not playing games 1 and 2. But I mean, that kind of wraps up the series. Final takes. This was actually the first time the Raptors lost in the first round since 2015. So I mean, kind of a different sight for them, especially because they're all really young. Like I don't think anyone played with the Raptors in 2015.
I think they have a very bright future.
Mm-hmm.
We got Scotty, the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Scotty Roy, baby. And
You got like Fred, who's not old. Pascal's young. OG isn't that old. You got Trent's young. Like
you got a lot of young talent with the Raptors.
Then you got some good vets like you got like Thad Young. Like he's solid.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they bring him back in the offseason.
I think the one big question for the Raptors is, can you get some more size in the offseason?
Yeah, like they have players like Kem Birch. Even him, he's not that tall.
No, he's not that tall, and like he's not really that good.
He's played solid. He's played solid.
Yeah, but he's not gonna.
Last year he was really good for them. This year he struggled at times.
Like you're not gonna start him every game though to lock down guys like or at least slow down guys like Embiid and stuff like that.
I think what they found this year is they're better off going Pascal at the 5 than having like one of their centers or whatever.
Or even Achua at the 5. But
Yeah, Achua's been solid, but he's young and
he's young as well.
You could tell he's a lot of raw talent. Like he needs to get in the gym and work on some fundamentals.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then for the 76ers, they just relied heavily on Embiid.
Yeah.
You know, 25 and 12 in wins. That's what he averaged, and then in their losses he averaged 20 and 9.
Yeah.
So you can just see the difference in how much they rely on Embiid, and then kind of for the Raptors, the loss of Scotty Barnes and Fred, that definitely hurt their spacing and their defense.
Yeah.
Especially guy Fred, he was in the 3-point contest. Was he in the 3-point contest? Yeah, he was. A guy that could shoot well like Fred, and both of them play good defense, and kind of as we were saying, their lack of size was tough for them. And then kind of a final thought here, how much does Harden need to step up for Philly in the next round, or even for them to make a deep playoff run?
Because a deep playoff run, I think you don't necessarily need Houston Harden.
No, you don't need Houston Harden, but
you just need a good enough Harden.
When the trade happened, everyone was talking about, new Kobe, Shaq, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's not that. Harden's not. He's not that guy.
He's not that guy. No.
He's not.
He was pretty incredible. If you're taking the Houston Harden, maybe you got a conversation here.
Yeah, but
no.
He doesn't need to do that for this Philly team. I mean, he needs to be.
I think for them to win, he needs to put a solid 18 and 10.
Yeah, he needs to not
force
shoot as bad. Force shots.
Take the open shots. If you feel confident, take the shot. But at this point in his career, his double step back, fadeaways, those aren't going for him.
No, and he's kind of slowly getting out of his prime. Kind of start feeding the other guys, get them going. Well, some guys have had worse.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, that kind of wraps up the series.
Yeah,
76ers going to face the Heat next round. That's going to be. I don't know how I feel about that series. Embiid's missing game 1, game 2.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Who knows?
All right, I got a back to back here. We got the Bucks versus my Bulls. Going into this series, I kind of knew that it was going to be a tough one for the Bulls.
Yeah.
But
they haven't won a single game in the whole regular season against the top 3 seed of either conference.
Yeah, that too.
Tough.
Yeah, they were kind of like the barometer of NBA this year. They beat the teams they were supposed to beat, and they didn't beat the teams that were better than them. So game 1, 93-86, the Bucks win. Kind of a closer game than a lot of people thought. It was kind of just a defensive battle. Both teams shot below 40% from the field and below 30% from 3. The Bucks did end up blowing a 16-point lead, but they held on for the fourth quarter. And I mean, the Bulls just didn't shoot well.
Yeah,
for
6 for 28.
6 for
from
28
three.
in the fourth quarter, and 1 of 12,
No.
and 1 of 12 from three
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter. That's bad.
that's horrible.
And like the Bucks, they had as many turnovers as shots that they made in the second half. 14 turnovers, and they made 14 shots in the second half. It was just kind of a bad game for both teams. Levine missed the game tying three with 29 seconds left. Tough shot for him.
I mean, 18 points for Levine and DeMar. That's not what.
That's not what you expect from guys averaging 25 and 27 a game.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of both shot poorly.
Hey,
Vooch
Vooch
actually
played good.
Vooch stepped up this series. 24 and 17 for him. But he also kind of shot poorly as well. And then Kobe White with 12 off the bench.
Yeah, it's solid.
That's 12. That's what you kind of want from Kobe White. You kind of need you need the two big guys to step up that game. Kind of Giannis for the Bucks. He's gonna dominate 27 and 16.
Yeah.
That's just what Giannis does.
Just a compo.
Middleton had 11. Holiday had 15. Didn't shoot great. Kind of the story of the game. Brooke Lopez had a solid game. 18 points on 50%, which is good for him. But yeah, kind of both teams did not play well. Bucks kind of showed the most resiliency this game. They kind of won it through the mud.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of wrapped for game one. Game number two, 114-110. The Bulls win.
Oh, wow.
This was, in Milwaukee. Hey, so much for a sweep. Bobby Portis did leave the game in the first quarter with hitting the right eye.
He was really solid for them last year, and he was really important in their run last year. And
Yeah,
really solid this year.
he's been really good this year as well.
Especially in the first half of the season when Brooke Lopez is out, he really stepped up.
But I mean, this is kind of the big one here. Chris Middleton left the game
And
in the fourth
he's
quarter
out for a while,
with a
right?
sprained MCL.
That's tough.
He's gonna miss. He's gonna miss the second round and possibly a bit of the conference finals, which is
Wow.
not good for the Bucks.
Not good.
But kind of a fun little stat here. Giannis overtakes Kareem for most playoff points in Bucks history.
I think at this point, you're wrong if you say Giannis isn't the best player in Bucks history.
Yeah, he is. He is
Yeah.
because Kareem didn't play with the Bucks for. So I mean,
He played there for a solid amount of time. He won a ring, an MVP or two.
but I mean, Giannis is the best Buck ever.
There's definitely an argument for Kareem, but I think you got to go with Giannis, and that's the right choice right now.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the big stat of the game, or here's the definer of the game. DeMar DeRozan, 41 points, playoff career high for him.
Yeah,
Coming off that tough game one.
DeMar's known for not being a great playoff player, but
It was kind of good. It was good to see him show out this game.
yeah.
And Vooch.
After the year he's had, winning a game, solid.
Vooch kind of kept it going again, 24 and 13, and Levine played a little better with 20 points, and then Caruso kind of had a solid game, 9 points, 10 assists, kind of a Draymond Green stat line.
Oh yeah.
For the Bucks, Giannis dominated again, 33 points and 19 rebounds and 9 assists. He's so good, man. Giannis is so good.
Is so good.
He's so good at basketball.
Yeah.
Brooke Lopez, 25 points for him.
Yeah,
That's solid. And Holiday had 18 points.
Are we in Brooklyn again or what? Like, is this Brooklyn Lopez?
Brooke Lopez. And then Holiday had 18 points, but he didn't shoot well, and he had 6 turnovers. And then Middleton had 18 points before his injury, of course. Took him out of the game. I mean, I think Middleton stays in that game. I don't see my Bulls coming out with that win.
No.
I'm going to be honest. 4-point game.
It's a sweep. They're bringing out the brooms.
Yep. For sure. And it's kind of evident moving on to game 3. 111-81. The Bucks win a 30-point blowout. This was just kind of a sad game to watch as a Bulls fan. The Bucks just absolutely dominated the Bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the worst playoff loss at home in franchise history for the Bulls. And they just did not have the same grit and competitiveness that they had even in game 1, where it was still a close game. They just didn't show that same energy. The Bucks led by 24 in the second quarter.
Oh, that was a 37.
And their biggest lead was 37.
Holy
I mean, Bulls' only lead was 1 point in the first quarter when it was 3-2.
Tough.
That's how you know it was just domination.
Yeah.
And then DeMar they kind of focused in on DeMar after that game 2
Yeah.
performance.
Crown DeMar, the way Levine played in the first 2 games, that's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he struggled. He only took 9 shots and
Yeah.
11 points. Grayson Allen, do we want to even mention him? I hate that
The
guy.
boos were well deserved.
The boos were well deserved, but I mean,
Hey, I don't.
playoff
I
career
like the.
high,
I like the
22
Bucks.
points in 25 minutes.
I like the Bucks, but man, I hate Grayson Allen.
I hate Grayson Allen too, but I mean, he shut them up, man. 22 points in 25 minutes, playoff career high.
The worst part about it is I hate him, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not even that bad, but
Like
just
the
everybody hates
worst
him.
part about it is people hate him, and he's good.
Yep.
Like it's one thing if you hate someone they suck. You're like, oh, they suck, but like he's good.
Yeah, he's a solid role player for the Bucks,
Yeah.
but I'm never gonna give him credit. Buddy Porbis returned and had a solid game, 18 points, 16 rebounds, and he started in replacement of Middleton. And then the Bulls shot worse from the field and worse from 3,
Yeah.
and the Bucks just won the rebound battle and points and paint, as you would expect from a team
Yeah.
with Giannis.
Yeah, with Giannis and they're starting Portis and Lopez. Like
That's
a big lineup.
that's a big lineup, and the Bulls, they aren't really that big of a team.
No, they have Vooch, who's like what 6'11".
Yeah, and then the Paw at power forward.
He's not that tall. He's like
not that
6'7",
tall.
6'8", and then
Yeah.
you got DeMar and Levine at like 6'6" each.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Game number 4, another blowout. 119-95. The Bucks win. Man, this is a tough series to talk about. The Bulls once again just no answer for the Bucks defense. 39% from the field and 25% from 3. And the Bucks just cannot be stopped offensively. They're just the better team this series, man. I mean, they won the rebound battle and points in the paint. The Bulls, once again, their only lead was 5-2 with 10 minutes left
Yeah.
in the first quarter. The Bucks lead was as big as 24, and they led by 15 at halftime. It was just all Bucks, man.
Yeah.
Kind of a Portis and Levine kind of got in a bit of a heated exchange, and they had to be separated at the end of the game.
That's what you expect by Bobby Portis, though. He's kind of stepping up in that PJ Tucker role, just getting in players' heads.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then Caruso left late in the first half with a bleeding nose and got evaluated for concussion protocol, which is a tough loss for my Bulls.
Yeah.
But Grayson Allen, man, another game in Chicago, another career high in the playoffs for him.
Oh my God.
27 points off the bench, 10 of 12 shooting, and 6-7 from 3. Man, I hate this guy.
Coincidence that Caruso gets hurt in that game too.
And then Giannis just does Giannis things. 32, 17, and 7. And then Holiday had a much better game, 26 points, 7 assists.
The thing is, even Holiday's bad offensive games, his defense is so good.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't hate on Holiday because
his
defense is so
defense,
good.
his defense is something else. Like,
Yeah,
as PJ Tucker said, his defense is like Kevin Durant's offense. It's just like the best out there.
Never heard that before. And then Levine had a decent game, 24 points, 13 assists, 45% shooting. DeMar had 24 as well, but he didn't shoot great.
Yeah.
And then the Pat Williams, 24 and 10 on over 50% 20 and 10 on over 50% shooting. Decent game for him, but I mean, it was just all Bucks. All Bucks. Yeah. That's kind of how most of this series went. Kind of the same thing in game 5. 116-110, the Bucks win. Moving on to the next round.
100, not 110.
Why? I can't read right now. 116-100. Levine did not play with health and safety protocols, just to add another sword into your side. Like, that's tough. And then Caruso didn't play with concussion protocol. It was just tough for the Bulls, man.
Yeah.
The Bucks dominated the paint.
As expected.
They shot better from everywhere.
As expected.
They led by as many as 29 points, and the Bulls' only lead was 1 point.
As expected.
And like the Bucks' defense was just elite all series.
Yeah.
I mean, DeMar was scoreless in the first 26 minutes of the game.
You can't have that.
Yeah, like when your guy averaging 20 was he averaging like
27
a game?
28.
27 a game, like, and he only had 10 shots. He only took 10 shots and 11 points.
Only way I see Chicago winning the series is if DeMar played like that stretch he had.
Oh yeah.
Halfway through the year.
Yeah.
That like 40 points.
And Levine has to be
60%.
averaging like 25 a game as well,
Yeah.
which didn't happen. Vooch had 19. Vooch played well this series.
Yeah, he's solid. He's not the same guy he was in Orlando, but he's been really solid for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be the same guy. 'Cause
No,
he's not
he's
getting
third
as many
option.
shots.
He's third option.
Yeah. And then Pat Williams, the paw, 23 points
Hey.
for him. Kind of good to see him kind of start to get going because he didn't really play that much this year. But it did not matter because Giannis had 33 and 9 rebounds. And then Pat Connaughton, name you didn't really hear much.
Hey, he was in dunk
20
contest.
off the bench. 20 dunk contest, man. And then Holiday, kind of another rough game for him, 10 points and 6 turnovers. But I mean, it was just kind of all Bucks.
Yeah.
Final takes. This was actually the Bulls' first playoff appearance in 5 years.
Yeah, they've been in a pretty long rebuild here.
And
Ever since Derrick Rose went down, they had something good going there with Jimmy Butler, but they traded it away. They got Levine, which I think it's solid.
yeah, I mean,
I
Levine.
think it's a pretty fair trade. They got Markkanen as well, who unfortunately didn't really do anything for them.
But I mean, the Bulls they had a solid team this year. Kind of
Yeah.
tough with injuries, with missing Lonzo for the last half of the year, and Pat Williams gone for a while, Caruso
Yeah.
gone for a while. You know, it's
Well, it's a tough year for injuries with them.
it was a tough year for injuries, but I mean, all in all, the Bucks were just a better team.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, Giannis
the
was
Bucks, they're the reigning champs. I think they're my favorite to get out of the East this year.
I would have to agree. Them are the Heat. I like them. I like the Heat, man.
I'm looking at Boston too.
Boston's good. I mean, Giannis was plus 86 this series.
Yeah, that's something. We'll get a
Yeah.
little more into that when we're talking about our series awards next time.
Oh man. Oh, a little name drop there.
Who said that?
The Bucks have beat the Bulls 20 of the last 22 games they have played. Like, that's
Wow.
just domination.
Yeah.
DeMar kind of got locked down this series, only averaged 20, just under 21 a game. And I mean, the Bulls just had no answer for the Bucks defense with DeMar's 41-pointer. And like other than DeMar's 41-pointer, it was just kind of like they didn't really have an answer.
Yeah.
I mean, but kind of it's going to be tough for the Bucks, man. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
with Middleton out,
yeah.
how well do I mean, I think they can still I think they could have.
I think having Milton out will hurt because even watching last year's playoffs, like
turn into Michael Jordan.
Milton was their safety net for Giannis having a non-amazing game.
Yeah.
Like Giannis would still play good every game, but last year in the playoffs, it seems like Giannis was averaging like he didn't, but it felt like he was averaging like 40 a game. Like
Yeah.
when Giannis would have like 26, you'd have Milton having 30 points. Or something
Yeah,
like that,
Middleton really stepped up last year in the playoffs.
Batman Robin.
Batman.
As Kendrick Perkins says, Middleton's the Batman.
Good old perk,
Good old
man.
perk.
Good old perk.
Giannis is definitely the Batman.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, so Middleton's gonna miss the entire second round, which will be tough.
Really tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I got for the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you think that was a rough series, just wait till what I got to talk about here. I got the Celtics and the Nets. So, game 1, 115-114 for Boston. Close game. Boston had a huge lead early on. And then, Brooklyn came back. But then Tatum hit a game winner. Tatum got pretty open on a awkward switch where Katie was guarding him, switched, and he was left fairly open with just Kyrie Irving going for a steal and then Tatum getting an open layup at the buzzer. Like, it's tough
Yeah.
move. Tatum had 31 and played elite defense on Kevin Durant.
yeah, Tatum balled out.
Yeah.
Both actually Tatum and Brown both balled out.
Horford, Jaylen Brown, and Smart all had 20+ in this game, which, like, when you have those four guys, like, playing with above 20+ points, that's I don't know, they're gonna be hard to beat. And Kyrie had an efficient 39, which, hey, Kyrie's one of those guys. He can do that every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
KD has 23, but he shot far worse than his usual, which is tough.
Yeah, he got locked down, man.
He was starting to look a little human in this game here.
Yeah.
Like before this, like Kevin Durant, like he's a great player,
Yeah.
one of my favorite
He's
players ever. But
one of the best scorers ever.
oh, one of yeah, and
And
it's tough because you're seeing him, like Tatum played really good defense on him.
yeah, and they were just being physical with him, and
Yeah,
he
Boston
and he struggled with it.
Boston was playing really physical all game. They dominated the boards, shot worse overall, but the game it didn't really mean anything. Like the game was like pretty close, and then Boston took off in the third, and then Brooklyn came back a little bit. Tatum got left open.
Yeah, just kind of some tough defense on that play.
Yeah, on
But
to game
a
two.
good play by Marcus Smart though.
Yeah,
Kind of with the good pump fake and then passing it up into
Yeah.
Tatum. That's a good play by him.
he got
there.
guys in the air.
He got the guys in the air, man.
Yeah.
They was jumping.
Yeah, on the game two. Boston wins again, going up 2-0, 114, 107. Just an all-around good game for Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown led the team with 22. Tatum had 19 and 10 dimes. Robert Williams had
There you go.
17 off the bench, which is pretty good for them. Yeah,
Good off the bench for them.
and then KD had 27, but shot 4 for 17 from the field, and he had 18 free throws, which got the majority of his points.
Yeah, that's another rough game for
Yeah.
KD.
Kyrie only had 10 points though, so I'd kind of like that KD game better. He had 10 points on
Yeah.
13 shots.
Yeah, Kyrie kind of disappeared after game one.
Yeah. And Bruce Brown had 23 and 8, doing what he can. He's been really good for them this year. He's a guy I hope they keep around. He's been a really, really solid role player. He's filled in really nice for them when with Joe Harris being out this year.
But the problem is they're starting him at power forward.
Yeah,
And
that's tough.
Isn't he like 6'4"?
6'4", 6'5". I think they just need to get a solid I don't understand where Aldridge and Blake Griffin were this series. Blake Griffin has been really bad this year, but in this series you need the size.
The minutes that he got.
Yeah, in this series, but in the regular season he was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
But I think in this series, especially at this point in the series when your backs are against the wall, you need to do what you can.
Yeah, and LaMarcus Aldridge, I don't even think he even played.
I don't think so. I never even saw an injury report or anything about it. I don't even think he was hurt.
Yeah, Neve Staff just didn't play him.
They tied on the rebound duel though, but Celtics shot better overall from the field. The Nets did lead until the middle of the fourth quarter, and Boston took their first lead of the game and just kind of took over from there. Kind of a heartbreaker for Nets fans and me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a Nets fan. I'm a KD fan. I just want to make that clear. Yeah, so game three, Boston wins again. Big surprise. 109-103, 3-0 lead. Tatum exploded for 39 with 6 steals.
He was shooting that thing.
And he was
man.
taking cookies. 6 steals.
6 steals. Thank you.
Yeah,
Come again.
Jaylen Brown had 23 points as well, which Tatum having 39, that's a pretty good contribution.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Pritchard brought 10 off the bench in only 12 minutes. That's solid.
That's a solid game for
KD
him.
had 16 points. He took less shots than Kyrie and Bruce Brown, which, in my opinion, KD needs to be the guy taking the most shots on that team.
Okay, but Bruce Brown, you can't hate Bruce Brown for this. I mean, he had 26 points.
Yes, he did. I'm not faulting Bruce Brown. Kyrie had 16 as well, but Kevin Durant, it's Kevin Durant.
I know.
He needs regardless if he's playing bad, to win a basketball game, you need him or Kyrie to play good, but you need Kevin Durant to shoot efficiently and to shoot shots.
Yeah. I'm not faulting you for that.
Yeah. And then Boston barely won the rebound battle, but they were far better with turnovers, and they led the majority of the game. Brooklyn got close a few times, but Boston just kept kind of teasing them, let them get close, go get a lead.
Yeah.
On to game 4, Boston calls it wraps. with a
Sweep.
116, 112. Another all-around good game by Boston. Tatum led the team with 29 points. Brown had 22. Marcus Smart brought 20 and 11, the defensive player of the year right there.
He really stepped up for
Grant
the
Williams
Celtics.
had 13 off the bench.
Solid.
He had a solid series.
Yeah, he definitely played well this
KD
series.
finally had a KD game. He had 39 points off 42% shooting.
Mm.
Still not as efficient as we've seen from KD, but
It's good for him to kind of go off. I mean, it didn't
Yeah,
really, it didn't really mean anything.
it would have been pretty bad if he went the whole series without having at least one good game.
Yeah.
Kyrie had 20. He didn't shoot great, but it is what it is. Seth Curry had 23, which he's kind of been
Didn't hear his name really.
No,
in this
he's been
series.
invisible. Another guy who's kind of been invisible, Nick Claxton. He
Mm-hmm.
had 13 points, but this man broke Shaq's playoff record. That sounds like a good thing, but no, the records for free throws missed in a game consecutively.
That's really bad. That's
He was 1 for 11 from the free throw line. Like,
he missed
sheesh.
10 straight free throws.
How?
That's
Just
that's-
close your eyes, throw them up there, and you'll make more
or
than
like
one.
or like try with like your left hand or something.
Yeah, like go Wilt Chamberlain on them. Brooklyn didn't have act like a real lead. They it was close at the start of the game, like early first quarter. But other than that, it was just Boston.
It's just all Boston, man.
Boston. I mean, the game was close, but Boston just had the lead the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my final takes on this. Is it even a series? Do we call it that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boston was just overall the better team this year. Last year Brooklyn was, but this year Boston was.
Yeah,
a lot better this year.
Boston has looked really good,
they took a
especially
step.
second half of the year.
Yeah.
They really stepped up. Their
Yeah.
defense is didn't they have the best defense in the league? I think they
They
did.
might have, yeah.
And their
And
defense
since
really
since,
showed.
since the All-Star break, they were the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Katie and Kyrie both had like 3 not great games and then 1 really good one each.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they couldn't put them together and get a game out of it. But
Yeah.
Tatum made Katie look the most human we've ever seen from him since he was a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said, like kind of in the first game when you were talking about it, their physicality on
Yeah.
him, it really showed. Like
Yeah.
he looked uncomfortable.
I find it kind of funny how everyone's saying Kevin Durant is like, oh, never put him in the conversation for best player in the league.
Like yeah, like
the guy averaged 25, 26 a game on 40% shooting. We're not gonna act like that's like the worst series of all time.
No, and like I saw a Jimmy High Roller video about this series for KD, and he was talking about like his series compared to other superstars' worst series of their career, and it was nowhere near some of the worst ones.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about LeBron's 8 points in the finals, but we're just gonna leave that there.
We're not even gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so yeah, Smart Defensive Player of the Year. Congrats,
Well deserved.
first guard since Gary Payton to win it.
Well deserved.
Yeah, he's been a really good defender for years now, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really good thing that he's finally get some recognition for it. I mean, he's been all defensive teams, but winning it's great for him.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown played pretty well. He didn't play like he can, but with the way Tatum played, you don't really need him to.
Might hear his name later. Jason Tatum. Might hear his name on the next app.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Little name drop there.
Steve Nash, has to be some conversations in the front office whether you want to keep him around or just get some tweaks for his rotations, because he didn't do a great job with rotations. Like, it seemed like Kevin Durant was going off when Tatum would go off and coming back on when Tatum would come back on.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way Tatum was playing defense, you would think you try to keep him on when Tatum goes off, and give him some minutes where he could take over a little bit.
Yeah, and like
I mean, but then again, like even last year, like in the playoffs, like it just wasn't KD's series. Like last year, he had Giannis and Middleton guarding him. And Nash's rotations last year weren't good either. But
KD was hooping last year.
oh,
during
that's
the
like
second
KD
round.
averaged like 40 in that round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but on to this year. This year, man, we're talking this year.
Yeah, Nash's rotations definitely need some tweaks. And
Ben.
no.
Ben Simmons, man. Where was he? Where was he?
I don't know. Probably sat on the couch somewhere. But
his back hurt from sitting on the chairs.
No,
too
actually,
much.
like he's getting surgery for his back.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's not like it's anything like he had a herniated disc in his back.
okay, but man, like you see
okay.
guys like Scotty Barnes, Joel Embiid playing with sprained thumbs, a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
You can't play with with a sore back.
Well, the thing
Like,
is,
come on.
he was expected to come back for Game 4.
I
But
don't know, man.
At that point,
It just looks bad.
At
It
the
looks bad.
At the point where it's facing a sweep, it's not you. It's like it's worth waiting until next year.
He
to
was
make
gonna
sure
go
he's
for
fully
history. First player to lose back-to-back series and back-to-back games.
healthy. Yeah, I don't think he wanted that. Yeah, so on to the next topic. Boston's going to play Milwaukee next, and
Two really good defensive
Yeah.
teams.
being that the series was a sweep, I don't think it really gets the right rep for Brooklyn. The total point differential for the entire series was 18, which is the third closest point differential in a series ending in a sweep.
Yeah, I mean, all the games,
Every
there was
game,
never a blowout.
No, there wasn't one blowout. Every game was within single digits. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was just
I
kind of.
mean, so the point differential of the series was 18, and Clarkson missed 18 free throws in the series. So I'm just gonna that's where I'm leaving the series.
We're wrapping it up.
And I'm just gonna leave that there.
just gonna let you sit with that.
So I think that wraps up our Eastern Conference.
Man.
So that's the first round fully done now.
First round Eastern.
We'll see you guys for some first round awards.
Yeah, we
later
got
this week.
Next ep, we got first round awards.
And after that, we'll be moving to the second round.
Dropped a few guys that might be getting some love, but
then after we get that, we'll move on to the second round.
That's gonna wrap up the first round.
Perfect.
And thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks, it's a pleasure.
Adios.
Adios.